Biden is delivering the fastest economic recovery in history. Why hasn't anyone noticed? And it proceeds with a whole bunch here. You can give me my screen back here. A whole bunch of claims that seem suspect, although I didn't go through and try to track them down. And certainly the idea that we are living through the best time in economic history of the United States would seem to be false on its face in a lot of regards. But just assume for a moment the headline is accurate, that we accept the premise of the piece and that the numbers therein. Like I said, I don't accept the premise and I don't accept the numbers, but okay. We are led to this remarkable statement in the inside of this article. Quote, Democrats' biggest problem, a conservative media machine pumping out economic disinformation on a 24/7 production schedule.
Really?
So if the Democrats really believe, now this is not the Democrats saying this, but this is the Hill reporting on what they see as the Democrats' biggest problem. If they really believe that their biggest problem is the conservative media machine, that's entirely outside of them. This is victim culture at the political level. This is like, oh, woe is me. Everyone does this stuff to me. If only you guys would leave me alone, then I could do the amazing, honorable stuff that I've always been trying to do. If the DNC truly believes that their biggest problem is external to them, then it will fail, that it is doomed. I was going to say we are doomed, but no, it is doomed, because that's hogwash.
Yeah. Boy, I love the idea that the DNC might be doomed. That would be marvelous.
Well, I mean, it's also, oh man, the Democrats' current mode of propaganda and censorship and frankly, taking on the mantle of Enlightenment values in this caricature-y way, like I am science, right? And then making pronouncements that are unscientific and unverifiable and unfalsifiable too. I think that's that thing that I just said, the censorship and the, abandonment and the transformation of Enlightenment values to serve their own petty ends or non-petty ends. That's their biggest problem. Or there's a bunch of other things beyond the external media. I mean, and also how much of the media is being fed by what the DNC wants?
Right. I mean, no, it's preposterous, right? The conservative media machine is arguably Fox, right?
Right.
But then there is a much bigger machine that leans in the other direction. So what the hell, right?
Fox, a few newspapers, I guess, but Let's see. MSNBC, I wanted to say the CDC. That's CNN. Basically all the other networks,
right.
NPR, New York Times, WAPO. Almost everything, as we know, this bias.
Let's put it this way.
This bias in the other direction then is being claimed as the Democrats' biggest problem.
In order for that to be an explanation, it would have to be the larger force. And given that the conservative media machine is the smaller force, that's not a very good explanation.
Yeah, it's really not. But I mean, I think we should come to expect not very good explanations from the Democrats at this point. Yeah, so I guess given that this feels very much to me like the sort of victim culture that has been very much the rage on college campuses of, don't put anything in front of me that I might be alarmed by, that might have my feelings hurt. Anything that goes wrong is about me having been victimized, as opposed, I never should, take any control of my own life. I would say to individuals who actually buy this, including the DNC, perhaps, take some responsibility for your damn self, get a grip. Wake the fuck up and do some things that are actually good for the people in the country and stop lying to us. That's a start. Maybe one of your biggest problems is that you're lying to us too much. And are the Republicans also lying to us? I'm sure, of course. That's what politicians do. But it seems to have become one of the planks in the platform.
I don't know. I don't think the point is, even to expect them to lie to us less or do something good is to misunderstand what they do. The business model, they're not supposed to have a business model, but they do have a business model, and it has to do with their real constituents, which are not the people, right? So I don't even know. I don't know what the point of, it's like going to criminals and saying, less crime. you want us not to go after you, do less crime. And it's
Right.
like, nope, criminals.
Well, I guess there are still some number of people, and I have no idea what fraction of voters in this country might believe that the Democrats' biggest problem is the Republican media machine. And I will say that again, as I mentioned last week, I walk around, I end up having short conversations with strangers, and I overhear conversations, some of whom are among people who I then interact with, and some of whom aren't. And and this is in deep blue Portland. This is in a city that routinely votes very, 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 very blue. And I overheard another conversation a little bit like the one I reported last week. This one between two elderly women, actually, white-haired women at a coffee shop, who said Bob was hospitalized after getting his booster, and then they sort of look around. They got very, very quiet, and then the next thing I heard was, "I'm not sure if I should cancel my appointment. I just don't think they're telling us the truth." This is in deep blue Portland among older women who are more likely than any other demographic by age or sex to listen to the authorities and to say, okay, you said I should, I will. Even in that group, we are seeing people experience with their own, in their own families and friend groups, actually, what I know is not a match for what I'm being told. And also, I have had 4 conversations in this last week in which people, without my prompting, said what we need is leadership. And I'm hearing this with regard to, again, in deep blue Portland, at the city level, at the state level, at the federal level, all of which in Oregon are currently blue leaders, right? And so there are a whole lot of people who are, I think, to agree with you. We're saying, why, frankly, are we continuing to talk to the same people who continue to do the same thing? We need something different.
Well, in fact, they are handing the allegiance of the people to the Republicans.
Yes, they
They're
are.
handing it to them because
Yes.
in some sense,
Yes.
the Democratic Party has started doing all kinds of things for reasons that serve constituents that we barely know.
Yes.
And all the Republicans have to do in order to actually be preferred is block terrible Democratic ideas. And it doesn't have to be this way. The fact is, there's a mystery, just as there is a mystery why it is no colleges and universities that are resisting wokeness when obviously a huge number of people want one, why there aren't social media platforms that are wildly popular that don't censor, all of these things. In the same sense, a party that actually served the interests of the people would be wildly popular, right? For obvious reasons. And yet the point is we're forced to choose between corporatist parties, and that tells you what the game is.